Well, like the old saying goes, it's Friday, you ain't got no job, you ain't got no shit to do. But, truth to be told, I do got a job. Well, it's a regular job, but I do got some things to do, which is, of course, this for all of you. So, we're going to be reviewing, of course, Stardom's much recent events. As you know, they were way behind on the Stardom world. We have their event at Osaka ATC Hall that took place on the 16th. We even got, of course, NXT Level Up and Impact Wrestling Sacrifice. But I also want to say this, I kind of messed up. I kind of forgot there was no AEW Rampage because they moved it up for a special Saturday. My bad, but I'm willing to correct myself and also do this. Yeah, but also, we got some news updates that tell around what's going on. As you know, more GCW updates and various other things, such as who else is participating in the upcoming WrestleCon. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome, everybody, to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with the latest start. Well, not latest, but it's much of the much recent events from Stardom. If you guys remember, I mentioned that the Stardom World webpage was a bit behind on some of the events they've done. One of them is, of course, the one I'm going to do right now, the Osaka ATC Hall that took place on the 16th of March. Now, it opened up with a three-way match. We have Yuna Mizumori, Momo Kogo, and Lady C. Now, keep in mind, as you know, recently we have seen Momo Kogo and Yuna Mizumori in recent matches, either singles match or tag match, again, either together or against each other. But the added wrinkle is Lady C. I thought this match was pretty good because it showed like, okay, Momo and Yuna are not like seeing eye to eye in certain aspects, but Lady C is kind of like the how do I say, the wild card who's just there in the mix, who's just trying to pick up a win. One thing I did was surprising. She was about to do the giant, was gonna do the giant swing on Yuna Mizumori, but she was unable to due to the fact of her size. I don't know if Miyu Watanabe can pull it off if it was in that situation. I mean, she tried that with what's her name, with Aja Kong, but it failed. But however, it was Lady C with a amazing schoolboy after Momo applied a super kick onto Yuna Mizumori, but unaware that Lady C applied the schoolboy 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next match we have Saki Kashima and versus Miyu Amasaki. Now, as you all know, Saki Kashima is working on her way to singles competition to become better at her as her job to win the high speed title, which is a title that she has issued herself. And I thought it was very interesting that she tried on her. But uh, normally I would see her do the Kishikase in these type of matches when she does singles. But she applied a modified armbar onto Amasaki to pick up the win. I'm sure she will be paying attention um with Azumi. As you know, she does have a submission move, numero uno. I would be, if I was Kashima, I would pay attention to that. Next up, we got Club Venus, Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa taking on stars consistent with Saya Ida and Mayu Iwatani. I thought this match was also pretty good. Now, keep in mind, Mayu Iwatani, she's no slouch in this particular match. So I was like not 100% sure how this was going to go. I think in the back of my head watching this, I thought, okay, it's going to be a time limit draw. But Luckily, Saida was the one who ended up on the wrong side of the glamorous driver Mina. One, two, three. It is done. Next up, we got Meltier, of course, Tam Nakano, and Natsupoi taking on DDM's Mas Sakurai and Maika. Now, keep in mind in this match, Mas Sakurai is still on the on the road to try to surpass her former mentor, which is Tam Nakano. But the obvious thing, would that work? I know that Mai would try to target Tam in order to surpass her, but in this case, it did not go exactly according to plan. She ended up on the wrong side of the Northern Cross by Tam, while Maika was being occupied in a submission by Natsupoi. But of course, Sakurai had no other choice but the tap. Next up, we got Stars consisting of Hanan, Koguma, Azuki versus the members of Queen's Quest. I like to say that this is the core members who I like to consider Utami Hayashida, Azumi, and Sayakami Tani. Now, you all know Koguma, how she is. She always tries to play mind games with her opponents, especially when she's trying to have them catch her. Even, what's her name? Utami Hayashida even chased her while Azumi and Kamitani were trying to detain her. But that little bear is too quick to get away from them. But however, who was it? It wasn't her who ended up being on the losing end. It was in fact Hana. After Azumi applied a diving foot stomp, one, two, three, it was over just like that. Now, as you know, we continue with more of the Himika retirement road. Himika faces the leader of DDM, her boss and friend, Julia. I have to say this was a very powerful match because it showed Himika her determination to win many matches as possible before she retires. But Julia is one of those wrestlers who, no matter what, she will end up winning in every aspect. So, I mean, I'm sure that Himika would have applied the running power bomb or the JP coaster, but it did not work out in her favor until Julia applied one of her deadliest blows, the Northern Light bombs, and boom, it was over. Now, during the post-match comment, Julia talked about when she first heard the Himika announce her retirement. She thought she was joking, but she's not. So basically, they had a little heart-to-heart, which was okay. It kind of shows Himika, she's retiring without regret. So that kind of puts it in. Now, our next match, which is our main event, we have Oedo Tai, consisting of Ruka, Starlight Kid, Momo Watanabe, and Natsuko Tora taking on the members of God's Eye, Konami, returning Mirai, Amisuri, and Suri. I would have assumed that, as you know, Odatai may have not forgotten the last time they had a deal with Konami. If you guys remember clearly, last year, Konami made her surprising return to Stardom for a week of the Golden Fight Week with God's Eye, and that kind of put how do I say, Starlight Kid on edge, questioning the decisions that were made. Like, was this plan out between both Suri and Konami? That's a question we will probably never know, but we do know that Konami has a big amount of respect for Suri, and of course she likes her, so that kind of sets it in. But I would have assumed this match was going to end with Konami applying her triangle lancer or something. But no, it was Suri who applied the Bayako onto Ruka, forcing her to give up. Um, During the post-match comment, post-match promo, um, Konami announced that she will be returning to Stardom in Yamamachi next month. So, as you know, for any Konami fans out there, you're probably saying, how come she's not returning back? Well, keep in mind, sure, she's still dealing with her health issues, but she will be back no matter what. Just she'll pop up somewhere. So I think that's pretty much it right now with Stardom. So let's move on with NXT Level Up. Okay, so who levels up on the latest episode of NXT Level Up? Let's find out. Now, to my surprising, I did not expect they were only going to have two matches. Now, normally when we see NXT Level Up, there's always three, but for some odd reason, they only had two. So, our opening match, we have Odyssey Jones taking on Kale Dixon. This match was okay, in my opinion. I mean, Kel Dixon is someone we don't know much, but we know he's getting recognized. He seems like the cocky guy who thinks he is the much bigger deal from what Byron Saxon said. But we all know Odyssey Jones. He's a big dude that will stop at nothing. As you know, he's trying to make up for what he lost from the injuries he obtained, and that does is not there's nothing wrong with that. But you probably would have thought that he would have put Kill Dixon away easily. No, Kill Dixon tried to make it harder for him, even raked his eyes in order to ensure that he picks up the win. The referee did not see it, but it did not help until he got um, slammed around to the mat. And then, of course, he got pinned by none other than Odyssey Jones. Now, our next interview, as you know, we have Lola Vice, who is one of the new people in WWE, most specific with the NXT brand. Uh, she is putting the entire women's locker room on notice. It's like she wants everybody to notice her, to know who she is, and also to make every one of them pay. So basically, hopefully, every last one of them are paying attention because I'm sure they're not going to take what she had to say lightly. So we'll just wait and see before that. Now, after the first match we just had, Kill Dixon had some words to say. So basically, he thinks like, "Oh, you think it's a big deal that you beat me?" So he thinks not that he is the much real deal. So he it will continue to say that no matter what people would think. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting tag match. We have Tavon Heights and Damon Kemp, who we have seen recently as a tag team competition. They have shown what they can do in the ring together. I mean, they feel like I look at them like, okay, they're perfect team because they both have like the same background, like grappling, catch wrestling, that sort of thing. But they face off a team who we know they have potential to become NXT Tag Team Champions. We're talking about Malik Blade and Etris and Nofe. I thought this match was amazing because these two teams are hungry. Like, for a fact we want to see Blade and Nofe win the tag titles, but we do want to see success between Heights and Kemp, and there's nothing wrong. But it was an elbow by what's his name, by Inofe onto Heights to pick up a good win. So I'm sure Damon Kemp will forgive Heights for that, but it's better off to go back to the drawing board, see what went wrong in this match, and they'll move on from there. So, like I said, there's only two matches on this one, so we'll just leave it at that. Now let's move on to our final review: Impact Wrestling Sacrifice. Okay, Impact Wrestling Sacrifice. Let's get started. Now, as you know, normally people don't like the countdown, or the pre-shows they normally do. So we're gonna do them anyway. Our first one we have Eddie Edwards versus Bupin Gurcher. Uh, Good match, but it doesn't give us enough exactly of the story we want to see. As you know, we know Eddie Edwards, in fact, is looking for trying to find a way to end PCO, knowing the fact that he wants to bury the past once and for all. But like the old saying goes, the past doesn't get buried. But he has to compete with Gurger. He did certain good things into this match, but however, Eddie Edwards turned it around when he applied the Boston Eve Party, giving him the win. Now, unfortunately, we had some devastating news that was later revealed. Josh Alexander sustained some injury, a torn bicep. He immediately went into surgery, but however, because of the amount of length that he will be out of action, he had to relinquish the Impact Wrestling World title. So basically, they will crown a brand new champion in Rebellion. Now, certain things have been coming around, as you know. They made a decision that they want to put Steve Macklin versus Kushida. Now, this is something that I like how the story is being told, like saying Macklin has studied um, Josh Alexander for over a year. He's well prepared of what he's doing. However, Kushida is now the unknown adversary that he has to pick up. So that kind of tells a really good story with that. Now, we do see an interview with Kazarian and Swan asking about this whole thing. They ask, how do I say, how do they feel about this? You know what I mean? Like, well, they said that right now that they told him that, right now that he needs to take good care of himself. But they reminded him that he will be stronger than ever when he comes back. And of course, that is something we definitely see when it comes to wrestlers that have been out of action. And of course, the thing with Macklin, that is something, a scenario. Apparently, Macklin has now been posted as their third partner in the match against Time Machine. The obvious thing is, can they trust him? Well, you probably can say they could try, but they want to make this match work in order to win. So that is like the right now, in my opinion, in uncharted waters at the moment. Now, our second and last match of the pre-show, we have Kylan King, our brand new one half of the Knockouts tag team titles champions, Kylan King versus the former Rosemary. I thought this match was pretty good. Now, you probably would have thought that the Coven were up to no good, but no. It was, of course, a spear by Rosemary that put away Kylan King. So, does this mean that they will be back on the tag team title hunt? We don't know. So, because of now the things that what happened with Tail Valkyrie, we'll just see how they're going to progress, just the two of them. Now, we begin with the main card. We have Mike Bailey versus Jonathan Gresham. Now, keep in mind, um, Jonathan Gresham has one on Bailey, and Mike Bailey one on him. No, no, they one on him. However, it was more like Mike Bailey wants to right or wrong on that particular match, and I thought it was a pretty good one. I was like, not sure how this is going to go. Now, keep in mind, Jonathan Gresham is no slouch. He probably can find a way to get you out, but it was Mike Bailey with the reverse figure four lock that put away Jonathan Gresham, and I thought it was a pretty good opener. So we'll see about that. Now, Brian Myers, as you know, on Impact Wrestling, he pinned Joe Hendry in a tag match, but however, Moose said that he's planning to be by his side to ensure that match will go in his favor. But however, the director of Authority, Santino Morella, banned Moose from ever being there, so that kind of screwed things up in his favor. So we get to that match for the Impact Digital Media title, Joe Hendry and Brian Myers. You probably would have thought that Brian Myers will find a way to cut corners to win. I thought so too, but however, it was the standing ovation by Joe Hendry to pick up the win and retain the title. Now, more unfortunately, bad news was later revealed. As you know, other than Josh Alexander being injured, our Knockouts champion Mickey James also sustained an injury in last Thursday. But however, this is where things get a little interesting. She is unable to compete in Sacrifice. However, Mickey James says that she's willing to postpone it all the way to Rebellion. But however, the doctors are not giving her the medically cleared. Now, excuse me. So they're not sure yet how this is going to go. But however, the obvious question is, will she be medically cleared by Rebellion? Well, this is the scenario that Santino Morella, as the director of Authority, put it out. That if by some miracle Mickey James will not make it, basically they'll make. This is how it's going to go. The winner of the multi-universe, the Strong Will Survive, will be guaranteed a spot to face to go to Rebellion. But however, Jordan Grace will be involved. Now, this is the scenario. Whoever wins the multiverse match will go to Rebellion and face Jordan Grace. But two scenarios will happen. One, if Mickey James is unable to compete, then that title will be relinquished and they will crown a champion between Jordan Grace and whoever wins that match. However, if Mickey James is back by that time, then it will be a three-way match. So that kind of sets it the whole. So it's kind of like a little twisted thing, but hopefully everybody get it. gets it. I think hopefully. Uh, let's move on to next. We have Giselle Shaw with Savannah Evans and Jai Vidal versus Deanna Purrazzo. As you know, Deanna Purrazzo has been dealing with a lot of bull crap with Giselle Shaw, blaming her, saying that she's the one who takes credit for Chelsea Green leaving. Now we all know that wasn't true. Chelsea Green left because she was unhappy how she lost to Mickie James. But however, this is a feud between them that will not stop. You probably would have assumed that this match would fall in favor to Giselle Shaw because X factors in this is Savannah Evans and John Vidal, but Deanna Purrazzo was able to overcome it until she put um um Deanna Purrazzo put Giselle Shaw in a submission, forcing her to give up. But however, the beatdown on Deanna Purrazzo just begun. Evans decided to take her out. But however, we had a surprise return from Tasha Steelz, another former Knockouts Tag Team Champion and Knockouts Champion. We don't know where she's been, but the reports were saying that she decided to take time off after she signed a new deal with Impact Wrestling. But it's great to see her. But don't know exactly how this is going to play out. I'm kind of curious what's going to happen on Thursday. Now, our next match. No, hold on. We do have it. Our next match we have, of course, is Kenny King along with Eddie Edwards taking on PCO. As you know, Kenny King will do anything for his brother Eddie Edwards to put away the past with PCO. You probably would have assumed, but there were moments we saw PCO where he's having glitches. Like we've seen that in the past when it comes to PCO, but that did not help. But PCO did pick up a good win when he punched Kenny King with the chair on his face right there. 1, 2, 3. So that ends it right there for everyone. Now we just had a very interesting development. We just saw that since Impact were in Windsor, Canada, we just saw someone who also is Canadian who's going to be making her debut very soon, and that is Jody Threat. Now, if you guys ever seen her, you're missing out. She's this wrestler I've seen in the independents on various occasions, so she'll be coming to Impact Wrestling real soon. Now, as you know, Kazarian and Swan are ready for their match, but the real question is this: can they trust Macklin? Well, I don't think they can trust him, but they do need him in order to pick up the win. Macklin's complaining about saying, all this and that, but he needs to get his head out of his butt in order to pay attention. However, he is worried. The fact is, he's unfamiliarized with Kushida since he spent 1 year scouting Josh Alexander. So we'll see what happens then. Our next match, we have the X Division title. Lince Dorado taking on the champion, Trey Miguel. I thought this match was pretty good. Perfect X Division style of wrestling I enjoy a lot. Wasn't sure how this was going to be, but it was Trey Miguel who walked out with when he applied the Hurricanrana on Lince Dorado to retain the title. I'm surprised he didn't even spray paint him. So yeah. Now our next match we have is the Impact World Tag Team titles. We have TMDK, Shane Haste and Bad Dude Tito taking on the Bullet Clubs, the ABC, Ace Austin and Chris Bay. Now, there was an interview that was conducted, of course. There were certain factors that were played out in this particular match, and I had to say, Tom, one of the commentators, made a good point. The Bad Dude Tito calls Ace and Bay as the Micro Bullet Club. These are like the junior heavyweight competitors. But he made another valid point. I don't think Tito or the rest of TMDK are fully aware that there's some sort of not like a different type of olive branch when it comes to the Bullet Club where they represent. Now you got to keep in mind, Bay and Austin are not part of the New Japan roster of the Bullet Club, but they do represent them. So that's sort of thing that was being overlooked, and I think Tom has a good point. Even Matthew Renwald does make a good point. Does agree with him. Like you just think, okay, they're just the guys who does the junior heavyweight, but they're more than that. So that kind of sets it all, and you probably would have thought. But of course, the size of both Haste and Bad Dude Tito cannot be ignored. But luckily, they were able to apply the 1, 2, 3, and it's just a little too sweet away when they took out Tito and to retain the titles. Now, our next match is the busted open match between Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer. You know Bully Ray will do whatever it takes to win. Not to mention, referee was out. He did not see that Bully Ray was busted open. The idea was the match ends with someone bleeding, but of course, Bully Ray had something cooked up. He has the little stooges, the God's hand, of course, God's good hands, Hotch and Skylar to help out. But of course, it did put away Dreamer, which was not good. And then, of course, the hockey player, I forgot his name, who was attendance, he got put through a table by Bully Ray. But all of a sudden, we saw the return of the Impact Wrestling president, uh, Scott D'Amore, and he brought some backup. We saw Heath, we saw what's his name, Rhino, Alexander, Bailey, and Don Gresham. But uh, I don't know what the hell was he was thinking, but Hotch, I think it was Hotch. Yeah, Hotch really was dumb enough to stay behind in order to punch Scott D'Amore until Scott D'Amore applied the Canadian Destroyer, and that put like in awe by Bully Ray's like, what the hell? Like he was speechless for what he just saw. So this is not even over between both Bully and Scott D'Amore. So the obvious thing is, what is Bully gonna do now? Because I'm sure that the president of Impact Wrestling is going to make Bully's life a living hell. Now our main event, as you know, we got Steve Macklin, Rich Swann, and Frank Kazarian. They take on Time Machine, Kushida, Chris Sabin, and Alex Shelley. Great match. I love the cohesiveness with Time Machine. I've always believed that they are a much better cohesive unit than anybody. But in this particular case, we did see a moment where Kushida tries to apply the hoverboard lock onto Steve Macklin. Macklin avoided it maybe a few times, but finally near the end, he applied it to um, Steve Macklin, but he did tap out. Now, the obvious thing did tell. Did he really tap out of preservation, or did he tap out because he knows he couldn't get escape from him? So that is the unknown question, but we'll find out when the day comes. So stand by for more Impact Wrestling for the fallout. But right now, let's just move on to our last thing, which is news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. So let's get started. Now, our GCW updates, this is what we have so far that we pull up now. For the Bloodsport event that takes place on the 30th, as you know, Alex Coughlin actually was supposed to face Yuya Uemura in the match. However, Coughlin stepped up the game to be the replacement opponent for Jon Moxley. So the obvious question is, who will Yuya Uemura's opponent be? It was later announced by Josh Barnett that it's going to be Bad Dude Tito. So I'm looking forward to that. But we also got Jeff Cobb versus Calder McCall will be also in this match. Now, also on the 31st of March, for the Joey Janela Spring Break, we have the Maki Death Kill. Nick Gage and Makita will be making their appearance. Then, of course, we have for our match the Hijo del Vikingo versus Mike Bailey. That one's going to be a blast. And then finally, the GCW World Tag Team titles will be on the line between the Motor City Machine Guns, our champions. The challengers will be none other than the East West Express. Another announcement was made for the Indie Hall of Fame. Paul London will be the next person, the sixth person who's now inducted into Indie Hall of Fame. No mention who will induct them, but stand by for that. On the 16th of April event, Red Means Green, Tony Deppen will be in action to take on Shigeru Iri, which is going to be interesting. And what else? I think that's pretty. Oh yeah. Anyway, it was announced that by the GCW Twitter page, both Maki Ito and Ninja Mac will be returning to GCW in May. They were both are both will be are booked for the 2 day event, 2 day in Detroit and Columbus. The Way I Am on the 20th of May, and of course the I Can't Save You on the 21st, back to back. So both Ninja Mac and Maki Ito will be involved. Now, more on the Wrestle Kingdom participants that will be guessing. We have the Ace Hiroshi Tanahashi, Sean Waltman, or as we know him, X Pac. Uh, Reach for the Sky, boy. Mark Briscoe will be there, and someone I don't know who she is. Her name is Gabby Laspia. I don't know who she is, but they'll be there. So if you're planning to go to WrestleCon, then you guys know. What else we have? Oh yeah. As you know, we got the Black Label Pro event. Observe This Brother. It was announced that for whatever reason, Carlos Ramos will not be involved in the show. No specifics were mentioned why, but it was later told that Alec Price will be his replacement. So I think it's going to be a good choice for replacement. But like I said, we don't know what's specific. Hopefully, they can shed some light to it. And then finally, as you know, we continue to announce the participants for the Queen of the Indies, and this one I have to say is a good one. We have Queen Aminata, who will be now participating at Queen of the Indies on the 13th of May. I know one particular person already tweeted this and said that she's looking forward to it, and that is none other than the cosmic freak herself, Unagi Sayaka. So if you guys know this, they actually met when Queen Aminata did a tour with Marvelous. So it's going to be interesting to see that. So I think we're done for now with the news update. So it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I will be reviewing 3 shows in one day by Gambari Pro. Yes, folks. As you know, the tournament for the Spirit of Gambari World Tag Team titles has begun. We're going to see who will be crowned our very first champions. I'm pretty sure there's pretty much matches. Uh, I'm sure I also will be doing the AEW Rampage and NWA USA for that. Not sure yet about the Stardom because, as you know, as we speak, we have the New Blood coming up, the New Blood Premium in Yokohama. If that comes out, I will review that. I will debate about the others that I haven't reviewed yet. But if it does come out, I will do that as well. I'm sure many of you probably would want that. So we'll go from there from then on. So we'll just leave it as that from what I'm planning to do for the next episode. Um, we'll see from there. So for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.